evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday, February 23rd, 2017 School Board Planning Meeting. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Benko, could we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Britton? Here. Mr. Cook? Mr. Deschaux? Mr. DeLauder? Mr. Eifert?
Here.
Mr. Emig?
Here.
Mrs. Herman?
Here.
Mrs. Maley? Mr. Rawhauser? All are present.
Thank you, Mrs. Benko. The purpose of tonight's meeting is strictly to focus on the Washington Township situation. Therefore, we will not have our usual committee reports that we would have at a planning meeting. The intent tonight is to provide you with information only regarding the situation and where it stands. At this point, the situation is out of our hands at this board level, and it is in the hands of the State Department of Education. So with that, before we begin the presentation tonight, I do have a statement from the Board of Directors that I would like to read to you. So if you'd take a moment to listen carefully. The Board of Directors of the Dover Area School District was deeply disappointed with the recent Commonwealth Court decision requiring the State Board of Education to revisit their initial ruling involving the transfer of Washington Township to the Northern York County School District. The school board was hoping that an end to this issue was at hand after the State Board of Education originally decided to deny the petition. This issue has consumed the school board, administration, staff, and community members for over 5 years now. The Dover Area School Board continues to and will always strongly support any efforts to keep the students of Washington Township in the Dover Area School District. Let me repeat that. The Dover Area School Board continues to and will always strongly support any efforts to keep the students of Washington Township in the Dover Area School District. From our full-day kindergarten program and career and technology offerings, which were recently recognized by Governor Wolf and Secretary of Education Rivera, to our outstanding performing arts and athletic programs, the board steadfastly believes that our students are receiving and will continue to receive the best education possible right here in Dover. We remain confident that in the coming weeks, the State Board of Education will uphold their previous decision to deny the petition and hope that we can bring this issue to a close for the sake of all Dover Area School District students and their families. Thank you. With that, we have with us tonight Mr. Benjamin Pratt. Mr. Pratt has been with us from day one on this case, and Mr. Pratt is going to provide you with an update as to what has happened to date and where things are headed from here. So, Mr. Pratt.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Eifert. Again, the intent here is just to provide you information in regard to the current status of the petition that is in for the transfer of Washington Township to the Northern York School District. I will tell you that I will use my best attorney answer on a lot of these questions because it does depend on a lot of things happening to give you a straight answer. But what we know right now, and I will tell you what we know right now as we'll go through this. The Commonwealth Court order that came out on January 20th specifically stated that the board, and that when I refer to the board in this case, we're talking about the State Board of Education, so you understand that, must adhere to the proper scope and standard of review to determine if they approve or disapprove the application. To just give you a little bit of information on what had transpired during the hearing back 2 summers ago. Well, there has been numerous case law on how an area or a township, borough, or portions of a district transfer to another school district. We've had case law for years indicating how that happens. over that time period, they have established procedures as well as issues that we should concentrate on when we are presenting the case to the Board of Education. What the Commonwealth Court states here is that the Board of Education does not have the broad view that they thought they had. Some of the elements that were discussed and presented at the hearing will not be looked at when the board reconsiders this application. And I'll get to what those are here as we go forward. It's interesting, though, that the fact that in previous case law, the Commonwealth Court did give the Board of Education a broad view of the application, and now they are going back on that and talking about how they don't have a broad view, how they're going to have to look at the school code in determining whether or not the transfer should be approved or disapproved. The Commonwealth Court recognized in their decision the board is required to treat that decision as an application for the assignment of the independent school district to an existing school district. Why is that important? Because if you, and I'm going to talk a lot of legal here, but I want you to understand that of what our requirements are. Under the school code, back in the mid-60s, there were over 2,000 school districts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The legislators decided that they had to cut down on the number of school districts, and it went from over 2,000, and they cut it down to 500, a little bit over 500 school districts. When they established the law, they established certain criteria for the Board of Education, back then it was called the Education Council, to look at to determine whether or not certain aspects of a school of a county or an area would be part of the school district. So the criteria and the standard of review that the court wants us to look at now is what was established back in the mid-60s. And what is that criteria? If you can go to the next slide. Under 291 of the school code, it states the State Board of Education shall adopt standards for approval of administrative units taking into consideration the following factors: topography, pupil population, community characteristics, transportation of pupils, use of existing school buildings, existing administrative units, potential population changes, and the capability of providing a comprehensive program of education. A number of these items that you see here were discussed and presented at the previous hearing. However, what the Commonwealth Court stated in their decision was that the Board of Education went beyond these requirements. They looked at more information than just these requirements right here. So with that, they are remanding this back to the Board of Education to determine the application based on this criteria. The code further goes on to say something interesting about this whole aspect that you have to understand. If you go to the next slide. Under 293 of the school code, it specifically states that no plan of organization of administrative units shall be approved in which a proposed school district contains a pupil population of less than 4,000. So if we look at that language alone right there, it would indicate that the Board of Education, because Dover has less than 4,000 students, should not accept this application. However, there's always a however, it goes on further to state that unless looking at the factors that we previously discussed under 291 justifies that move. So going back to what the Commonwealth Court was looking at, they're saying you need to go back and determine under the code. They didn't say specifically what they had to look at. They had to look at the code and determine whether or not the application should be approved or not under this criteria. And the criteria that they're looking at under 293 is the 4,000 students, as well as those other issues that we've talked about as well in relation to this application. What does this all mean? In my best guess, because I will tell you this has not happened to the Board of Education in the history of whether or not something comes back to them, remanded to them, for them to look into this. Previous cases on the issue of a transfer were either accepted by the one party or it just made pure sense that the transfer was going to go through, and they outlined the criteria. So the Board of Education is seeing this issue for the first time. So what all of this means, we don't know specifically. We can only garner from past cases as to what we have to present. And we presented a number of items very similar to this on the hearing 2 summers ago. So let's go to the next slide. What the one thing that the Commonwealth Court did recognize, that I want to make sure you understand, because this was something that's been discussed before, is that the board's scope of review is different from the Secretary of Education's review for educational merit. For those of you who have been in the long haul on this whole thing, you realized 5 years ago there was a review by the Secretary of Education as to whether or not there was educational merit for this transfer. The Secretary agreed that there was educational merit. It went on then to the Board of Education after being certified by the Court of Common Pleas, went on to the Board of Education for the hearing. Arguments were made that whatever the Secretary states, it should happen. But what the court is clearly stating here is not only that the Secretary has their opportunity to review things, but the Board of Education also has the ability to review things as well. They're a separate entity in reviewing this petition. So whatever the Secretary of Education stated can be considered, but is not the final say in this regard. All of you are probably asking the questions, what happened next? What's happening next? I will tell you this. We just got notice today from the Board of Education that this matter has been remanded to them. They are having a meeting on March 9th. At that meeting, they will take in consideration the Washington Township Independent School District's application to transfer to Northern York School District. What they have notified of all the parties about is the following. Number one, that they are going to be taking arguments from all sides at this meeting. Number two, they're going to accept public comment during this meeting, as long as you notify them that you want to do public comment, and they're going to probably limit it, like the last time they limited the public comment. Number three, they're also going to take written comments from individuals in the Dover School District. So there's an opportunity for you all to be involved in this. Let me go back. This is on March 9th, 8:30 in the morning, up at their offices on Market Street in Harrisburg. For you as a community to know is that you need to notify them by March 3rd whether or not you want to do a public comment or not, and also present written comments to them for consideration on March 9th. Because what the attorney for the Board of Education informed me was that they will be making a decision on March 9th. And they need to have all the information in prior to that meeting. They will have the meeting, they will take the evidence or the comments, they will go into executive session, and then they will make a determination at that meeting. So that's the status that we are at right now. I will tell you that the board of school directors here in Dover area are going to be prepared to present arguments and information at that meeting, and Washington Township has the ability to do that. Northern York has the ability to do that. The kids group has the ability to do that based on the fact that they're interveners, as well as the Education Association will have the ability to do that as well because they're interveners. I don't know how long it's going to last because they haven't been clear on that, but there is opportunities for you as a community to voice your opinion on this. So there's the update for you, Mr. Eifert.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. We are also joined tonight by Representative Seth Grove. He has been a tremendous supporter of us in this process, so we'd like to invite him to say a few words this evening as well.
Thank you. Appreciate the board's strong recommendation and statement tonight. I think, as a taxpayer, as a parent of a child in Dover, soon to be two, I think my youngest will be taking his kindergarten assessments here coming up. So I have two over at Dover Elementary. I appreciate the work the board has done on the fiscal side and also the educational side. And I think that's part of this is if part of the court case also is if the state board does deny the application again, the petitioners do have a potential for another hearing. And I think whether they decide to do that or not, I think that hearing will show the tremendous academic growth the school district has shown over the past 5 years, to the point where, and I'll tell you one thing, governors do things for a reason in their budget addresses. Sitting on the House floor February when the governor of Pennsylvania highlights the wonderful academic achievements of your local school district should send quite a message, particularly when he has a lot of appointees sitting on the State Board of Education who he has appointed there. So whether that has anything to do with this or just the great job that the school district is doing, particularly in career and tech education. I see Chuck Benton sitting back there. Great job. Keep up the great work. Yeah, applaud it. But unfortunately, this issue is, and it happens in communities, it creates a divide within your community. Ultimately, there's going to be determination that's made. Hopefully, it's in a positive way that's beneficial for the students, for the taxpayers, for the residents of Dover moving forward. But ultimately, the winners in this scenario are fortunately the attorneys that are litigating this. Money is not going to the kids in the school district. Administrative time is being spent dealing with this issue, not dealing with the realities of administering a school district and all that is intended with that, all the decisions that are made. And ultimately, I think it needs to put to bed based on my analysis and everything that's happening. I'm very hopeful that the state board will back their last petition, and I'm hoping the petitioners will move on. Ultimately, I think that's the best decision. It's been 5 years. Kids that were in freshman, 9th grade year are now graduated, and this has not been put to bed yet. We need to move on as a community, and I'm very, very hopeful that we will get a positive, from my perspective, obviously keeping Washington Township in Dover School District, unifying our community moving forward. We can put it to bed. We can move on as a community and focus on the great things that are happening here in Dover on a day-to-day basis. So I appreciate the strong commitment the board has had in not only managing the budget, but on this particular issue and making sure we have a unified Dover moving forward and we can continue on as a community doing great things. I do apologize, I have to run. I actually have a budget workshop at the fairgrounds right now. So I promised them I would be back. So I try to keep my promises as best I can. So I'm gonna leave it there. Thank again the board. If you need anything, I will be up there. Actually, it's our last day of budget hearings. Amanda have to blowing off our budget secretary, who I do like to cross-examine. It's one of my highlights, being on the appropriations committee. But by far, this is one of the most important things happening in the 196th district. So I will be there in support of the kids and parents of Dover moving forward. So thank you again, and appreciate the hard work that everybody has done in trying to put this very divisive issue to bed. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Grove, and I love hearing a politician that keeps his promises. That's awesome. So, thank you. Next, we'll move into our public comment period. This is a 3-minute period, and tonight I stress that this is a public comment period. It is not a debate period. The board does not intend to answer direct questions this evening. If students have any remarks that they would like to make, I would ask that a parent accompany them to the podium. Under our policy, students must have parental permission for public comment. So with that, we will open up the floor. Please come to the podium and the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Holly Fieser.
Hi, I'm Holly Fieser, 125 Roland Road, East Berlin, and I'm pretty sure you all know who I am by now, 6 years in. I would just like to say thank you to Mr. Cherry, the school district, Representative Grove, the community, and our solicitor for their continued support. We continue to believe that our education is excellent. We love our teachers. We love the support that we get from Mr. Cherry and you as our board. We love our career and technical education. We have 10 classes and Northern only has 1. I've got a kid who's coming into the high school and she's excited about that prospect, preparing her for a future. I think her future is here. It's red and white and it's Dover. We believe in our teachers, we believe in our coaches, we believe in our administration, and we thank you for your support and thank you for keeping us in Dover schools.
Heather Dangler.
Hello. My name's Heather Dangler. My address is 60 Red Run Church Road, East Berlin, Pennsylvania. And it was right in my face. I don't have any notes, as Holly did, but I did want to reiterate a big thank you to all of the board for standing behind us. When this started, my oldest daughter was in 5th grade, and she's in 10th grade now. So she went from the elementary to the high school not knowing if she was going to be going to this district every year. And as an educator myself, having the same students come through the building and gaining a relationship with them is so important. So I appreciate you trying to keep our kids here. We will continue to try to keep our kids here. And hopefully on March 9th, the state school board will also uphold their prior decision to keep our students where they belong here in Dover. Thank you.
Janice Laird. I apologize if I don't say your names correctly.
Perfect. We're right on with that. Good evening. Janice Laird, 185 Pickett Road. I also want to say thank you for working to try to resolve this issue. It's been hanging over our head at our house for the last 5 years as well. Having 2 students in the school district, it's been very difficult to tell them that we don't know specifically what's going to happen with their education in the future. We've kind of been collateral damage of this situation. Being on Pickett Road, we started off at Libe Elementary School, even though we're in Crawtown. So when the Crawtown building closed, we transferred to North Salem, which we perfectly understood the need for that, the economic need that went into that to create solvency within the district. And we had no problem with that move. It did create some emotional hardship at our house, though. So for me, making another move at this point in my student's career that does not economically benefit the district as a whole just seems to be very detrimental. And I'm hoping that as a community, we'll consider the fact that the move from Dover to Northern doesn't just impact a small portion of our community, it impacts the entire community. And the programs that are going to be lost for the students who are here because of that loss of tax revenue and student dollar is potentially heartbreaking. I too am an educator. I work in York City and have gone through the situation of major loss of programs. And it is demoralizing to children. I do have I know that you can't answer questions this evening, but I have some things that have been on my mind. You know, working in York City, I need to make sure that I have before and after school care for my daughter. My son's going to be coming to the high school this year. Just this evening at dinner, we finished filling out his course application form, and he is so excited to turn it in tomorrow. It is the most excited I have seen him probably in 2 years about school. He wants to be a music teacher, and he is looking forward to all the phenomenal music programs that we offer at the high school. He believes that that is going to strengthen him moving forward in the career that he's chosen. And so I hope that we will all consider not only this, but the concept, I'm watching my time, not only that, but the concept of We have our children inside school buildings at this point. Do we really want to see them move to trailers in a new school district where they're going to be outside the building, moving back and forth in an unprotected area? And I too wonder, what are my rights as an individual in this situation? Where I have a student who's coming to the high school and a student who's going into 4th grade. How am I going to have 2 students going to 2 different school districts? If, as in the past, we were told that our high school students will continue at the high school. So, thank you very much.
Crystal Berkheimer.
Good evening. Crystal Berkheimer, 212 Mine Bank Road, Wellsville. It has been a long journey, and I'm going to do the same thing that everyone else did, and thank you all for your support. I was extremely happy to hear that you will continue to support us. I don't know that it's going to be over on March 9th. I pray that it is. I hope that it is. 5.5 years has been a very long time. I have 2 students in the district, one in 8th grade and one in 10th grade. Their thing to me is, Mom, I'm not leaving Dover. I don't care what happens. I don't care. I'm like, well, we could get I don't care. I'm staying. And as a parent, it's very difficult to try to explain to them, especially when I sold real estate for 20 years. They understand how districts work. Why I have to explain to them why York City pays this tax and Dover pays this tax and Northern pays this tax. So they get all that at their very young age, which I did not get at my young age. But I am a Dover graduate, proud to be 19-something. And I work at the district as an aide. I love North Salem, love my principal, love my teachers. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you. I'd like to thank all of you for your support. I was so happy when I pulled in and everybody was standing out front. That's like awesome. You pray that you don't get there and there's like 20 people sitting there. So thank you very much for that. I just ask that we as a district stay together. I feel like Washington Township is slowly pulling apart over the last 5 years, which I think may have been the intention. And my personal view is, just from the very beginning, being the PTO president at the time at Crawltown, it's not a good place to be when they want to close your school, is the vendetta that they thought they were going, or the revenge maybe that they thought they were going to do, has only hurt students. So I just ask for your continued support. Awesome things happen at North Salem Elementary. My kids go to Dover Intermediate and the high school, so great things happen there. And again, I just want to thank you for your support. And I'm almost out of time, so thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Vicki Mills.
Good evening. Vicki Mills, 13 Twin Bridge Court, East Berlin. And just like Holly and Heather and Crystal, I'm sure we've known each other for a very long time, because I've been helping to support keeping our kids in Dover as well. So just like the others, I want to start by thanking you very much for your support. It means more than you will ever know. And the same to everybody out there who's fighting to keep our kids here. Thank you, because first and foremost, this is about the kids. Period, end of story. It's about the kids and what we're doing to our kids, which isn't right. I bought a home in Dover. I said this a million times before, I'll say it again. When I bought my land in Dover, I knew my child was going to Dover School District. Didn't say Northern, it said Dover. That is one of the reasons we stayed here. She went to Crawltown. I was not a Dover grad. So to be honest, I was not associated with a building. I was worried about her education. The teachers at Crawltown were phenomenal. But the thing I want everybody to understand is when that school closed, those teachers came with us. That education was not lost. The kids came with us. The parents came with us. The teachers came with us. That education came with our kids. And that's important to note, because it's all about a building closing and truly not about the educational piece of it, because if it were, we wouldn't be here right now, because the education part came with our kids. So thank you to the teachers. I have a daughter who started, she was in 3rd grade. at the time this kicked off. She is now a freshman in high school. So I'm sure we can all relate back to the fact of how hard it is sometimes to fit in, especially in a high school atmosphere. She's thriving. She is a swimmer. She is a volleyball player. She's doing very, very well. The coaches are phenomenal. The teachers are phenomenal. She loves her teachers. She loves Dover. So I would hate to see the kids have to move when, again, it's all about the kids. So I just want to say thank you very much. And again, we really appreciate your support and your continued support. And I, too, hope this is done and over come March 9th. Thank you.
Crystal Smith.
Hi, I'm Crystal Smith, 102 Reynolds Road, East Berlin. I was going to pass because what they said is pretty much what I thought. So thank you. But something hit me that I realized I have a son in 5th grade, and he's had a mystery disease for 2 years, that he would be sick, vomiting for 12 hours a day. He missed like 35 days of school last year, and I was blessed to be able to work with his teachers and explain to them what's going on. They worked with him on how to make it up. The teachers going up through know what was happening, and when we finally found out this year that he needed to have his kidney taken out, removed, I had the support of all of his past teachers. I am so glad that we didn't have to change school districts in the middle of this, because everybody's been so supportive and just praying for us and helping us, and here's some work. And if we'd have had to switch school districts, they would have known him from Adam, and here I was able to call the principal, explain to him, and I had the support of everyone, and it just dawned on me like, hey, I'm so blessed that we didn't have to move. And he's in 5th grade, his brother is in 10th, and he also is concerned. He doesn't want his brother to graduate from Dover, and he has to graduate from another school. So I just hope that we can stay in the district, because I love the support from the teachers, and I kind of feel like I have them looking out for me, since I can't be with him all day, and he has been cleared to do everything, which now he's a daredevil and I want them to keep him. But I just feel like I have their support, and I'm just thankful.
Jennifer Stefanik.
I feel a little left outsider, I guess is the word. It's Jennifer Stefanik, 80 Pine Ridge Road, East Berlin, Pennsylvania. And I'm kind of new to this. We moved into the district May 2nd of last year. And I guess what I can share with you is thank you for everything you've all done. But we moved into the district because the house was in the school district. So when we started looking for the house, that was one of our requirements. And we wanted land, we wanted, clear space, lots of great things, but the school district requirement was the top, number one. So it's clear to say it's why we are where we are. I travel the world for my job. I've been impressed what I've seen out of Dover School District so far. I'm not originally from this area. I'm from near the Allentown, just north of Philadelphia area. I graduated from Penn State, so unfortunately I will not be here for the March 9th meeting. I will be in Italy, so I will make sure I write something for you folks, unless I can call in by phone. Unfortunately, I already have, I have to be in Italy, so, but thank you for everything. Thank you for welcoming me and sharing everything with me. I appreciate it, I really do, but I hope this is over. I really do. But if there's anything I can do or anything you need from me as an outsider or a stranger to the district who's not been a part of this pain for 5 years, certainly let me know. Because we moved here because of it, and I don't have a problem saying it. So, thank you.
Sarah Rothrock.
I'm an outsider as well, just like her, and I want your job, by the way. I'd love to be in Italy, but anywho, my kids actually just moved into the school district 2 years ago. I have 3 kids in the school district. One is a senior in high school. I've got one in 6th grade and one in 2nd grade. So I want to say thank you for everybody who started this petition, because I wouldn't know what to do if this just happened and none of this was done. So I think that you guys are doing what you're doing to keep our kids in the school district. It was really hard for my kids to move to the Dover School District. My kids have always been in Bermudian, especially my son, who's in the high school as a senior now and has obviously moved there as a junior. Our concern basically was the educational needs of our children. We were totally used to Bermudian. We've been there forever. I was very nervous moving my kids to Dover, not knowing the school district very well, never being in this area. I'm actually from a different state, moved here about 10 years ago, and my kids have been in Bermudian ever since. But I have to say it's been wonderful. The teachers have been fantastic for us, especially with that move, knowing it was probably more anxiety on me than it was on my kids, being scared, already having a relationship with all the teachers and everybody at Bermudian. So, you know, now that I know that this is going on, I want to be able to help as much as I possibly can, and I want to know what we need to do on our end, on how we need to speak, how we need to be involved, because I don't want my kids to be moved again. To have to go through that again, that will tear my kids apart. And my kids don't even know that this is going on. It would break their heart, and I don't even want to even give them the anxiety of thinking that they're going to get pulled out of this school district. Especially when they're finally getting friends, they finally are comfortable with their teachers, they love their teachers, they come in, Miss Worth. I know she's here, getting your class dojo like every other day. My children love it here now, and I would be devastated if my kids would have to leave and go to Northern. I feel like we have no right to this. You know, we have no say, and I want to have a say. I want my kids to have a say, and I want to talk for them. This is ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sorry, I thought this was kind of like going to be like a question and thing like that, because I'm so like outside of it. So now that I'm here, I just wanted to get up and speak so I could see who really was a part of it, who knew what was going on, so I could kind of like connect. Sorry. So everybody can tell me what I can and cannot do, what we can do to get involved. So, but thank you again. That's all.
Thelma Lehman.
Hi, I'm Thelma Lehman, 505 South Crawltown Road, and I want to thank you for supporting us, but mostly I just want to get into what I want to say so I don't use up all my time. But mostly I want to say, like Vicki said earlier, if Crawltown was still open, we would not be here. This would be a non-issue at all. Our kids were funneling into North Salem from Crawltown Elementary School. Once the school shut down, everything, our taxes are bad, our teachers are bad, our education is bad, our commute is bad. All that was okay when Crawltown was open. So why is it not okay now? To me, that's the biggest issue. I quit an excellent job to stay home with my kids, to make sure I was there with them when they needed me for school. If my kids, if I wanted to move because of taxes, I would move. If I wanted a better education, I would move. If people want lower taxes and a better education than what they're getting at Dover, they should just move. Why should they be allowed to move my kids who have already been established? My daughter graduated from Dover High School. I now have a freshman, an 8th grader who will be a freshman next year. I don't want to. We do enough stuff to mess our kids up. I don't want to take them away from their teachers that they know. I don't want to take them away from the kids that they know, that they hang out with and they do things with after school. I don't want to take them away from their friends. It's not right, and like I said, it's not right for them to move our kids. The people that want lower taxes, the people that want a better education, the people want a smaller commute, let them move. Let them move.
Taylor Mills.
Taylor Mills, 13 Trimage Court, East Berlin. Okay, so I just want to start by thanking all of you guys for supporting us through the last 5 years, through everything. I've worked very hard here to thrive in Dover School District, and I'm a student athlete, and I work very hard to thrive in both the classroom and on the court and on the pool. And I know some of my old teachers from Crawtown are back there, so I just want to say thank you so much, because you guys are a big part. And I love Dover, I love the teachers, I love my coaches. They've all helped me adapt very well. Being a freshman's hard. High school is the hardest part of your school career to adapt to, and have to start all over and make all new friends. And Northern would be very hard. I've made great friendships with a lot of people here, and I wouldn't want to leave them and have to start over, because that wouldn't be easy for me. I just wanted to say thank you.
Lydia Lehman.
Lydia Lehman, 505 South Crawltown Road. I just wanted to say thank you, and I love this school, and I don't want to leave, and that's all I really wanted to say. So, thank you.
Anybody else for public comment tonight? Okay, please come to the podium.
Sorry, I didn't write my name down. They asked me if I wanted to speak, and I didn't think I did want to speak, but I do. My name is Tracy Kistner. I live at 117 Cranbrook Drive. I do not live in Washington Township. But I want to assure all of the students that are worried about losing friends that, you know, as an adult, when you move, your friends are your friends. And we hope that you don't have to move out of the district, but all of your friends are still going to be your friends. And I don't want that to be any concern of yours. As a business owner in Dover, I've spoken to many other business owners of ourselves, and my children don't go. They're not in jeopardy of leaving and going to Northern, but their friends are. So it's not just affecting the Northern kids that would have to move to Northern. It's affecting every single student in this district that would lose someone. And my kids' teams, you might remember me from fighting really hard for lacrosse. We have a lot of lacrosse Crawltown people here. You know, that's half the team that we worked really hard to get. As a martial arts school owner, I have some staff members here and some other former students. If they leave, that affects my business. Sarah's Creamery does so much for Dover. They have workers that work. There's a daycare above me, and if those students, like another parent said, had to get a daycare at Northern, that's going to affect a lot of places that are trying to give back to the community. My husband and I, we mentor at North Salem. He mentors now. And just giving back to the community, I want you guys, everyone here, to know that a lot of businesses in Dover support trying to stay here, and that your move affects all students, whether you would be moving or whether you're a friend that would lose a friend that's moving. It's very important to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Yes.
Philip Knob, 178 Bents Mill Road. We were not happy when Crawltown closed. But fact is fact. But my uncle went to Crawltown the first year it opened. My late father also went to Crawltown, as did my brother and I. My brother and I actually both graduated from New York County School of Technology. All the programs up through Dover were just phenomenal. I now have 2 boys that go to North Salem. Sorry. My oldest son is special needs, and the support that we have gotten from especially Mr. Cobb, as well as every one of his teachers, has just been phenomenal. My wife and I, we do not want to move our children. We don't have any plans. I grew up in the Dover district, been here all my life. Don't have any plans of moving. But thank you for your support, and hopefully March 9th, this is it.
Could you sign the register then, so we have your name and address? Yes, sir.
Jim Crosley, 6300 Harmony Grove Road, Dover. I have 2 students in the district. I've been in part of Dover just over 5 years, so I moved into Dover once all this fun was breaking out. My daughter, her first year, had to go on an hour and 10-minute bus ride from my house to Lyme, and then the last 4 years we've been at North Salem. Thank you, Mr. Cobb, for all your help and support just for my family and in this process. I'm a pastor by trade, so sometimes I get to work with different families in different situations. Sadly, I have to admit, I probably work with more broken homes than together homes at times. And I've seen firsthand what divorce does to a family and how specifically it affects kids. And in some ways, you always forget about how things impact and the ripple effects things have. And it's amazing to me that a community in a school district, even though the teachers go and the education is the same, that a community would choose to basically divorce themselves from what it's known for how many generations. So you have people who love Dover, who are part of Dover, and yet are choosing to rip their kids out of schools and families and a support system that's been incredible, just to chase after a few dollars in a very short-term window. I guess the thing that infuriates me is that in sports, people are free agents, but in life, kids should never be used as collateral. Kids should never be used as free agents. Kids should never be used just to chase a couple mills for a couple of years. And in all of this, it's just so frustrating how you would choose to do this to, in some cases, your own families, but a community where these ripple effects are going to live on long beyond this 5 years of this process. So I guess in all this, I thank you for fighting to keep our community together. I thank you for fighting to keep the kids in the schools that they've become accustomed with, the friendships and the relationships they've formed. And I pray that March 9th goes well for everyone here in Dover. And like Crystal, I pray that March 9th, this is the end of it, though I wonder if it really will be. So I will sign this, and thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Seeing nobody on the move.
Say one more thing.
Yes.
No, I can't keep up. It's very difficult. It's very difficult.
And you graduated in a great year from Dover, too.
I know, because you graduated with me. I did not graduate with you. You
Yes.
graduated with me. I just was wondering if it was okay, which they're really going to probably be upset with me, but if we could just have our teachers and our principal, all teachers, stand. I know they don't like this. They're going to be like, oh, why? If you are a teacher in Dover District or any other district, could you please
Thank you, Crystal. Okay. Next up is Board President's communication. At this point, the board will be having an executive session immediately following this meeting to discuss our next steps related to March 9th and where we go from here. So with that, I would like to announce our future meetings that are coming up. We do have our board action meeting, which is March 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. That'll be over at the administrative offices. And our committee meetings will be March 23rd at 6 o'clock and a planning meeting at 7. So I ask all of you, again, thank you for coming tonight. I ask that you contact the State Board of Education, all of our representatives, our state senators, share with them your thoughts, your opinions on this matter. It is important that you communicate with them. So please take the time to do that now because March 9th is here before we know it. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Is there a second? All in favor, yes? Yes, opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.